Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. Thank you. It's good to be home. Welcome home to you all. Welcome here. Whoa, pardon me. Welcome here. Welcome here in the sanctuary. Welcome online. Thanks, John. To the Sunday service of the Unitarian Universalist Church of St. Petersburg. Now, we are on the unceded ancestral lands of the Tocobaga, and Seminole Native people. My name is Ben Atherton Zeman, and I'm the minister here. Those of you who got earlier had to walk through a bit of a gauntlet. We had about 15 or so protesters yelling at us, telling us we were going to hell, I think mostly because of our stance on reproductive justice. So thank you for not engaging with them. What the police who responded said was they tend to look for reasons to sue us, so thank you for not engaging. And I want to give a special thanks to staff who were wonderful and who modeled a non-anxious presence. So please join me in thanking our amazing staff this morning. It's not our typical morning. Today, especially, there's nowhere I would rather be than here. No work I'd rather be doing than this work with you and with our amazing worship associate, John Motter.
Thank you, Ben. Good morning, everyone. If you want a church that embraces Black History Month, that believes healthcare is a human right, and recognizes the inherent worth and dignity of everyone, regardless of who you are, well, I have good news for you. You may have found your church home.
Thank you, John. We have 3 announcements today, and the first one is sad. Our wonderful accompanist, Aaron, is leaving us. He's not mad at us. It's so he can have Sundays off. It's been such a joy working with you, Aaron. Such a delight, and I absolutely love it. You are so good at this job. We have him for one more week, so next week is Aaron's last week, and we will celebrate him next week with cake, I believe. I do like cake. John has asked Tim, who some of you know as the accompanist from the One City Chorus, if he would step in, and Tim has agreed, so I'm excited to work with Tim, and we'll have a lot more to say about that.
Great. Our second announcement, if you haven't made your pledge to UUSP for the next fiscal year that starts in July, please attend the gathering today from noon to 1 here in the sanctuary. It's called Growing Our Beloved Community, Looking to the Future. They'll share a short program, answer questions, and then you'll have a chance or opportunity to make your pledge either on paper or online. I'll be there with my laptop, so you can do it either way.
Okay, thanks, John. And our third announcement was going to be
Oh, this cake. This cake is so good. I love chocolate cake.
Kathleen. Hey, Kathleen, you can't eat in the sanctuary. Can you? You're like dripping crumbs.
Oh, it's to die for. It is so good. Well, I know, but
Can I help,
I've got special dispensation.
Dispensation to eat in the sanctuary?
If I talk really fast and don't get crumbs on.
No, don't talk fast, but we're kind of in the middle of service and it's announcements time.
This is just fine. And those of you, if you like chocolate cake or cookies or things like that, you might want to join us at the Death Cafe, which is going to be right after the service today. We'll go till 1 o'clock. And that's when we're going to talk about everything related to end-of-life planning. Death, dying, thoughts that you have, maybe resources that you're aware of, activities that you're doing, maybe plans. Like I want to, next year, get training to be a death doula so I can help shepherd folks who are at the final phase of their life out. What a cool concept that is.
Well.
And I know some of you may know that we did a Death Cafe a couple of years ago, and it was very well received, so we're doing it again.
Okay, well, I'll go. Where are we going to meet?
We'll be in Conway Hall, and we'll be there shortly after the end of the service, and like I said, we'll end at 1 p.m., and you can come and eat chocolate cake. It is so good.
Kathleen, everyone. Thank you.
We want to give a special welcome to any newcomers. If you are new to UU St. Pete or relatively new, can you give us a wave? Great, well, welcome. If you're willing to introduce yourself, then Reverend Ben will come around with a microphone. You can give us a quick 1 or 2 sentence introduction. There is no obligation for you to do that, but we would love to hear from you if you're comfortable speaking in front of crowds.
The first one's always, thank you for being the first one.
Hi, I'm Diane Dwyer. I live in St. Pete, and this is like my 4th week coming here, and I've been helping on Friday afternoons with the feeding the poor.
Thank you, welcome. Oh. Wait, who? Oh, they're just waving for other reasons.
Good morning. My name is Richard Kent, and I'm from Michigan. I just came up from Fort Myers, where I stayed with a friend who's a congregant there, and she asked me to stand up so I could meet April Cook, who's supposed to be, there's April.
Oh.
So we'll see you after the service.
Thank you, April's fantastic.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Andrew, and I drove by this morning on my way home from the gym and saw the protesters and thought I'm going to go inside and show my support. Here. And I'm very appreciative of this church and all of the other groups that you invite in to use your space for meetings. So thank you.
Thank you,
Oh,
good
thank
to have
you.
you. Who's gonna tell them that they're recruiting for us?
All righty. Thank you for silencing your, oh, is there another? No,
I know, but they have to raise their hand.
you're good. Thank you for silencing your cell phones. Regarding masks, we are not mandating them, but masks are available at either entrance if you're more comfortable masked up. Let's take a moment to greet our neighbor and remember to get consent if you're going to shake their hands or give them a hug, and we'll go from there. We serve kind of as the southern meeting house, the southern annex for the UU Meeting House of Provincetown. We have so many people that have come from up there. So for today's chalice lighting, we have a special guest, and it is the Reverend Kate Wilkinson, who is the minister at the UU Meeting House in Provincetown. So,
Welcome, Kate. Welcome, Kate.
as we light our chalice, let's give voice to our shared connections by saying our covenant together. The words can be found in your program or online in the text chat. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Thank you, Reverend Kate. Let's rise as you're willing and able for our first hymn. It's number 404. What gift can we bring? Gray hymnal.
This may be a new one for you. It is for me. Raise your hand if you've ever sung this one before. 2. All right. Sing out proud. What gift can we bring? What present, what token, what words can convey the joy of this day? When grateful we come, remembering, rejoicing in song, can we offer in honor and praise? Give thanks for the past, for those who had vision, who planted and watered, so dreams could come true. Give thanks for the now, for study, for worship, for mission that binds us, turn prayer into deed. 'Tis gift that we bring, this present, this token, these words can convey the joy of this day. When grateful we come, remembering, rejoicing, this song we now offer in honor and praise.
You may be seated. And I want to invite all the children to come forward and take your seats on our lovely new mats as Aaron gives our time for all ages.
Hello? No. Oh, yes, I'm on. Okay. All right. So, we are light on children today, but that is okay because this time is for all ages. A few weeks ago, I told a story about the Golden Rule. And as a reminder, the Golden Rule says that we should treat others the way that we want to be treated. Many people use this rule as a guiding principle in life. Following the Golden Rule can help us be good and kind to people most of the time. The Golden Rule is a good rule, but that doesn't mean we can't try to improve. We are always growing and evolving as humans, and this means our ideas are always growing and evolving too. So when we think about the Golden Rule, it is a good rule. If you want to be treated kindly, it makes sense that others would also want to be treated kindly. But what if the ways that you want to be treated kindly are different from others? So let's say you love ice cream and decide to practice the Golden Rule by giving everyone ice cream. Some people can't eat ice cream. People don't like ice cream, which is odd, but you know. We accept everyone. So in this way, practicing the Golden Rule is not kind to everyone. But there's another rule that we can use. It's called the Platinum Rule, and it builds on the Golden Rule. The Platinum Rule says that we should treat others the way that they would like to be treated. And when you practice the platinum rule, before you bring everyone ice cream, you might ask them if they like cream or if they can eat it. Or ask them what their favorite dessert is. And in this way, we not only treat everyone with special care, but we get to know each other on a deeper, more meaningful way. And getting to know each other well is how we build sacred community. So as you go out into the world, don't stop practicing the golden rule. It's still a very good rule to follow, especially out in the public and with strangers. But also look for ways that you can practice the platinum rule. And with that, our time ends, and now we will sing our children or child out to our feet.
Thanks, Aaron. We now come to the time in our worship for joys, sorrows, and concerns. And those of you on YouTube Live, up in that fancy new camera, I have not forgotten about you. You are not here, but your presence is still felt. Please type your joys, your sorrows, your concerns into the text chat. The rest of you, there's still a few seconds to fill out these cards, and many of you have submitted your joys and sorrows this week. We'll begin with John, the first one.
The first is a stone of sorrow. Many of you may know Penny Duff or remember Penny Duff, who was a member here kind of pre-COVID. She recently passed, and so keep her family and friends in your heart. We don't have any information on any service, and we'll let you know once we find that out.
A stone of sorrow from Emma Schock because of the 122 days of ongoing genocide in Palestine. As of today in Gaza, there are over 27,000 martyred, including 12,000 children, 66,000 injured, 8,000 stuck under rubble, including 4,400 children, and many more forcibly displaced.
We have a stone of joy from Gordia that they belong to a church that gets protested.
A stone of concern from Emma for the overwhelmingly loud silence of individuals who believe they support and fight for the justice and liberation of all people, except, of course, Palestinians. And then a third stone from Emma, a stone of joy for Palestinian resistance and for our collective liberation being closer than ever before.
We have a stone of joy from Lauren. Congratulations to Chris and Geneva, as the CUPS group had 9 adults and 2 twin youngsters at Embolic last night. The group is also applying for a charter of the UUA National CUPS.
Fantastic. CUPS, for those who don't know, stands for the Covenant of UU Pagans. I'm thrilled to hear that. A stone of concern from Gordia. A memo leaked from the Department of Transportation says that gender markers can no longer be changed in Florida. Also, that transgender people who have changed their gender marker can be convicted of fraud. Boo, indeed.
From Chris McDonald, a prayer of concern for all gay and trans folks who are aligned here in Florida and around the world. Join us today for some solidarity at the gay brunch at Neptune's in Gulfport at 12:30 to 1 o'clock, or meeting at 12:30 to 1 o'clock. You can stay as long as you want. Come join as soon as you can. And you can see Chris up front if you have more questions.
Chris, that's all I have.
And then one more from Stone of Joy from Sandy Weeks for Reverend Ben's return, bringing a wonderful warmth to our services, also a stone of hope that there are no more family emergencies that take him away.
There's another, Dana?
Oh, yes, thank you. From Stone of Sorrow from Dana, family and friends of Peggy Gill, who passed from life on January 20th.
So let's bring to mind and hold close to our hearts the memory and the family and friends of Peggy Gill, I'm not remembering her name, unfortunately.
Penny Duff.
From Penny Duff and Penny's family and friends, and those of you here who knew her especially. Let's bring to our mind and hold close to our hearts the people in Palestine, to all transgender people everywhere, especially trans people in Florida, all LGBTQIA+ people, all of us who are known and who are unknown, who face challenges, who face health concerns. And let's please join us in our responsive reading that John wrote.
May our hearts not become calloused by the never-ending incidences of oppression and hatred that so many face each day.
Rather, may we keep our hearts open to the positive efforts of so many people causing good trouble in the world. May we have the strength to demand and gain the right for all people to have a safe place to sleep, health care to keep them strong, and knowledge that their lives matter.
The struggle is taking longer than it should, but we will get there if we continue to strive for basic human rights. May all of us find a comforting and compassionate presence in the warmth of fellowship and community.
And Aaron and Cece, if we could place one final stone for those joys and sorrows that remain in our hearts, perhaps too tender yet to be spoken out loud. The mystery is that we are connected even when we feel apart. So let's rejoice in this beloved community that makes of the many one. And let's take about a minute of silence together.
I don't know about anyone else, but I get such a calm feeling every Sunday when John and James stand up here in front of the mics and hold hands and sing that song. It really just It does. It just calms my soul and lets me know that things will be okay. So I appreciate it. Thank you. Our reading today comes from the Article 2 Study Commission, and it's what brings us together. So we all know about our 7 principles and, of course, our adopted 8th principle here, along with the purposes and sources. But by show of hands, how many of you knew that they are part of the bylaws of the Unitarian Universalist Association? Good number. Or that they are set to be studied and revisions proposed every 15 years. Good.
Yeah, they've changed over the years as the times have changed. So, for instance, we realized that we need to move beyond the, quote, dignity of man and the ideals of brotherhood. And later on, we decided that the prophetic men and women wasn't inclusive enough, so it became prophetic people. And in 2020, when they were 6 months into the project, the UUA Article 2 Commission drafted these words that John and I will now read for you.
When we grow and change, we must make new commitments and create new language to hold these commitments. As your Article 2 Study Commission came together this summer, we began with formulating our own covenant. What are the promises we make to each other? We continued with our dreams. Was it the future Unitarian Universalism of our imaginings? We discussed our scope, what is the work we are charged, and what is the work beyond our charge?
Our world is indeed a different one, even from just a handful of years ago. It would take more words than we have here to enumerate the challenges we face, and that many words again to sing of the beautiful, hard-won shifts in our collective understandings.
The task at hand is to work together as Unitarian Universalists to craft an Article 2 that will enable our communities to, quote, to be a relevant and powerful force for spiritual and moral growth, healing, and justice. In the words of the Commission's charge, rooted in our broadest shared theological grounding, love.
And this is still the Commission's words, by the way. They said, just as UUs in the 70s and 80s rose up to be a wave of transformation for our faith, grassroots groups of UUs in recent years have begun to address insufficiencies in the current Article 2 with calls for change, whether focused on the limitations of the first principle, the need for a better embodiment of a democratic process claimed by the fifth, amendments and clarifications for the seventh, or the truly great need for an eighth principle that holds us theologically accountable to dismantling racism and oppression. It's time for a comprehensive study of what our new world requires.
This is vital, exciting work. You are invited to be part of it, and in the coming months, we will be reaching out to congregations, committees, professional organizations, affiliated communities, and individuals with a variety of avenues for every Unitarian Universalist to engage with this work. Even if Article 2 was unfamiliar to you before, we hope that you and your congregations and committees will all pick up a hammer and lend a hand in building this new way. We already have a foundation, love. Let's build it all together.
All right, thank you, John, and thank you all for your attention and engagement for that. It was a lot of words, but this is important stuff that our denomination is wrestling with, and that our church in particular. Speaking of our church, we have had a wonderful mission statement long before I got here, I believe since 2015. It is printed in your order of service, minus one word, and let's see if you can remember the word. The hint is it's related to today's topic. I invite you to say it out loud. Our mission is to be an inclusive, evolving religious community that inspires spiritual and intellectual growth to make our world a better place. We bring our mission to life through our wide range of shared ministries: social justice, religious education, pastoral care, and many more.
unity. There is room at the table for everyone. There is room for us all, and no gift is too small. There is room at the table for everyone. There's enough if we share. Come on, pull up a pew. There is room at the table for everyone. Hear our hearts not be hardened to those living on the margins. There is room at the table for everyone. This is where it all begins. This is how we gather in. There is room at the table for everyone. There is room at the table for everyone. There is room at the table for everyone.
I invite you all to be with me in this moment. I invite you to breathe the air, to hear the sound of my voice, sneezes, the sounds in this room, the sounds outside. I invite you to notice the faces of those around you and to realize your connection with them. I invite you to feel the floor beneath your feet. Think about the people who built that floor. You are not alone. This precious present moment is connected through space, through time, to all other moments, all other places. And the evolution of our faith tradition that we're talking about today has brought us to this moment, and our faith will continue to evolve. Each of us can help with that evolution. Now, James Luther Adams, early in the 20th century, was a Unitarian minister. He's been called the father of liberal religion. Adams said, "Religious liberalism depends on the principle that revelation is continuous." And this has been a bit of a theme throughout our history of both Unitarianism and Universalism, which last week my colleague Reverend Christina Spouty taught us. She taught us about, in the 3rd century, there was a North African theologian named Origen who dared suggest that everyone gets to heaven. She taught us that before the American Revolution, Judith Sargent Murray and her husband John Murray preached a gospel of love, really in opposition to the prevailing Calvinist gospels of fear. Spotty said many people's view of God at the time was as a vengeful being, punishing, controlling, judgmental. People were powerless over what happened to them in this life and the next, and they just needed to accept it. We were a depraved lot, prone to sin, according to the Calvinists. And then came the Universalists, who claimed we all go to heaven when we die, and that God is a loving God, merciful, and generous. Now, I have met those folks before outside who were yelling at us when some of us came in the doors. Because when I support people who are going to their appointments at abortion clinics, it's the same folks, and they were yelling the same things and carrying the same signs. They believe in basically a Calvinist God, in a God of punishment, a God of judgment. They believe in hell. Frankly, they believe everyone in this room is going there. So this idea, this universalist idea of a loving God is very threatening to them, and it's very threatening to a lot of folks. Now that's our universalist side. Our Unitarian side had similar roots in early Christianity. So in the 4th century, there was another North African theologian named Arius who dared suggest that God was one rather than three. He was condemned as a heretic and actually slapped in the face, apparently, during the Council of Nicaea by a bishop who was Trinitarian who disagreed with him, Bishop Nicholas, who was later sanctified. That's right, Saint Nicholas, a.k.a. Santa Claus, was an early slapper of Unitarians. The things you learn. During the Reformation, the first edict of religious toleration was declared when, Kate? 1568 by John Sigismund, the first and only Unitarian king. And early American Unitarians were active in abolitionist movements, I think you know this, and in women's suffrage. In this century, or in the past century, during the McCarthy years, young adult Unitarians merged with Universalists long before the two denominations did, and then the two denominations did in fact merge in 1961. And then the decades since then have seen Unitarian Universalists active in stopping the Vietnam War, in supporting the civil rights movements, the LGBTQIA+ movements, the environmental movements, and the feminist movements. That is our brief history, our brief evolution. This church in particular was founded by two Universalist families, both headed by strong women. Pearl Cole wrote of her dissatisfaction with other churches, and I'm imagining that part of the dissatisfaction was with this idea of a punishing, scary God, and Cole's desire to worship a loving God. Our first few ministers were women in the 1910s and 20s, right? Still, these women existed within a larger context of male supremacy. So they were replaced by a long series of white male ministers up until Reverend D. Graham. Some of us know Dee. She lives in Gulfport still today. Reverend D. Graham became our first out lesbian minister in 1995. Her picture is looking at me and smiling up behind the camera. Now, our church was also founded as Jim Crow laws held sway over black and BIPOC residents of St. Petersburg. Remember, BIPOC is black, indigenous people of color. And the only historical photos I have found of black people in this church are photos of those working to build it. Our first and so far only BIPOC minister, Reverend Mishra Manzetti, wasn't called to St. Pete in 2006, nearly a full century after our founding. Manisha's picture is also back there. For many white UUs, talking about racial justice and white supremacy isn't comfortable. Some of you who are white might right now be feeling not comfortable. But as more and more black and BIPOC leaders join us, our theology has evolved, emphasizing interdependence, equity, transformation, justice, pluralism, and generosity, all with love at the center. Some white UUs are nostalgic for the denomination that emphasized individual freedom of worship. Religious educator Paula Gribble wrote a wonderful letter from Unitarian Universalism to UUs. And the letter reads in part, "Please, dear UUs, love me not only for who I have been, but also for who I am today. If you do, you are not turning your back on your past. We have made great strides together, and with your commitment and support, I, Unitarian Universalism, have learned and grown. Won't you continue to learn and grow with me? How do we answer this question? Our denomination is at a crossroads in our evolution, as is our individual church. The proposed Article 2 changes that John spoke about are drawing some opposition. In our church, there are those among us who claim that issues of race, gender, and so forth take away from a focus on spirituality. But it's difficult to focus on spirituality when we're being yelled at, told we're going to hell. It's difficult to focus on spirituality when pregnant people are told you shouldn't control your own bodies, when we're pulled over for driving while black, when our history isn't taught in schools. It's a challenge to focus on spirituality when it's now illegal to put our correct gender on a Florida license. Unitarian Universalists are evolving from our history of centering love and celebrating pluralism, but also from a history of white supremacy, male and hetero privilege. In this state, our government bans books, tells us we can't say gay. Outside, they yelled homophobic slurs at us as we entered the building. And yesterday, someone online gave us a 1-star Google review calling us the synagogue of Satan. Other churches kick out trans kids. Let's be the church that welcomes trans kids, teaches black history, marches in pride parades, works for reproductive justice. Let's be that church. Now, some of you were with me at City Hall this week as the flag was raised for African American History Month by our city's first progressive black mayor, the same mayor who stood where I am standing a couple of months ago, paying homage to those who have died this year while homeless. Some of you talked about our work with unhoused people on Fridays. And as Michael here, Michael Pohl and I don't see Michael, but he and I, and others, but especially he, have talked about social change as a spiritual practice. It's one thing to go on Friday and volunteer, put the food together and feed folks, but to do this as a spiritual practice is what I strive for and what many of us strive for. And Aaron's lesson about the platinum rule is a perfect example of this, because treating someone as they want to be treated is an exercise in empathy, in connection. It's a spiritual practice. Let our hearts not be hardened to those living on the margins. James and John just sang for us. That's a spiritual practice. Let's take it further, though. Let's realize we are those living on the margins. More and more, our leadership at UU St. Pete is evolving. More and more, our leadership is black, is trans, is young, is non-binary. We don't just support trans rights because it's the right thing to do. We support trans rights because we love Gordia LeClaire, because we are connected to her, because she is us. We work for racial justice because we love Ariana, we love Janae, we love William, Laura, Pierre, Bianca, and our other BIPOC leaders, because we are connected to them, because they are us. That love, that connection, that being, they're not abstract constructs. They are our guideposts. They can be the lenses through which we see the world. The work is love. Love is the work. The spirituality is connection. Connection is the spirituality. So they can yell at me all they want. They can come every Sunday and yell at me. I'm not going anywhere. Lucinda and I intend to spend the rest of our lives here with you, helping us evolve, helping us build our beloved community. Tomorrow we're signing papers to purchase a condominium in Gulfport. I hope we have decades. I hope we have decades to hold one another when we are hurting, decades to love one another as we worship and grow, and to challenge one another as we evolve. It will not be easy. Our friends who are outside and others will try to undermine our theology of love, justice, and interconnection, but they will not succeed. And even without them yelling, many of us are still suffering. Some of you right here I've talked with this week, you are suffering from depression. You're suffering from recent losses that we spoke about. Even from the impending loss of our beloved Bob Riddle. So when you're feeling down, when you're feeling isolated, when you're feeling alone, remember this moment right here. Remember our heritage. Remember our evolution. Remember our love and our connection. Someday we'll be the ancestors. They'll be looking at photos of us 100 years from now. They'll be comparing our congregation to theirs. What legacy will we leave them? Let's work to make them proud. Reverend Christina said we have shared this precious gift with many in the belief that this message will save more lives. May we go with pride and joy for all we have done and a promise for work yet to be done. And may we remember that love is the center and it will not ever let us go. I invite you all to be with me in this moment, to breathe the air, see those beautiful faces around you. Look at these beautiful faces around you. Realize your connection to them, your love for them. Feel the floor beneath your feet. Think about the people who built the floor. This precious present moment is connected through space and time to all moments and all spaces. Our faith tradition will continue to evolve, and each of us can help that evolution. We're on the right track, and you are not alone. Amen. Ashe. Blessed be.
Thank you, Reverend Ben. We eat from the trees planted long before we were born. We plant seeds that will bear fruit long after we are gone. In this sanctuary, the offering will now be given and received.
What's given in love we receive with great joy, and we say thank you. Please rise as you're willing and able to sing hymn number 1017 in the Teal hymnal, Building a New Way.
We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. Hate and greed and jealousy. We are working to be free. We can feed on our every need. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed our every need. Peace and justice is our crown. Peace and justice is our crown. Peace and justice is our crown. Without these our world will die. Peace and freedom is our right.
You may be seated.
Today's closing words are one love from the late Reverend Dr. Hope Johnson, who is a co-founder of the Living Legacy project that makes pilgrimages to Alabama, and I know some of you have taken those trips. We are one, a diverse group of proudly kindred spirits, here not by coincidence, but because we choose to journey together. We are active and proactive. We care deeply. We live our love as best we can. We are one, working, eating, laughing, playing, singing, storytelling, sharing and rejoicing, getting to know each other, taking risks and opening up, questioning, seeking, searching, trying to understand, struggling, making mistakes, paying attention, asking questions, listening, and living our answers, learning to love our neighbors, learning to love ourselves, apologizing and forgiving with humility, and being forgiven through grace, creating the beloved community together. We are one.
Thank you, Aaron. I want to invite my wonderful colleague, Reverend Kate, to come back up to extinguish our chalice. And I invite you all to say our chalice extinguishing. As she does that, the words are in the order of service. YouTube Live, haven't forgotten about you. The words are in the text chat. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of love, or the fire of courage. These carry in our hearts out into the world. Worship is over, but our service begins. We hope this time together will help you through your week, will help you remember